Listen to me for a second, and I mean really listen. That prize you're running yourself ragged for, the bigger paycheck, the corner office, the perfect house, the applause. Whatever you're convinced is going to magically fix your life, it's a mirage. It is not going to deliver what you're hoping for. I'm 65 years old, and I just spent 4.5 decades of my life sprinting after prizes that were never going to patch up the empty spaces inside me. Decades. That's a massive chunk of a life to spend barking up the wrong tree. So, pull up a chair and give me a few minutes, because I want to hand you the lesson that took me a lifetime to learn. And maybe, just maybe, you won't throw away as much time as I did. We all fall into the exact same trap. We tell ourselves, I'll finally breathe when I get that director title. I'll be happy when the mortgage is burned. I'll be content when my retirement accounts hit a certain number. I'll be at peace when people finally look up to me. I chanted that mantra my entire adult life, my whole damn life. And guess what happened? I got the title. I own the house free and clear. I've built the nest egg. People look up to me. Well, I assume they do. At 65, you kind of stop caring about the score. But here is the brutal truth nobody warns you about. The finish line is an illusion. You get the thing, and immediately, there's a new thing. Always. You think you've crossed the tape, but you look up, and the goalposts have moved another 10 miles down the road. I spent my best years sprinting toward a destination that simply didn't exist. Let me share something I'm not exactly proud to admit. I came up with nothing. Not miss a meal poor, but poor enough to feel it every single day. My old man broke his back in a manufacturing plant his whole life. He'd drag himself through the front door exhausted, knuckles busted, and folks still treated him like he was invisible, like he was disposable. I watched that happen when I was just a kid, maybe 10 or 11, and a fire ignited in my gut. I swore, that won't be my story. I'm going to make myself undeniable. I'm going to force the world to respect me. So that is what I did. I ground out 60, 70-hour weeks. I was a ghost to my kids. I missed family dinners. I missed school plays. I missed the magic of just being around. But hey, I was building an empire, right? By the time I hit 50, I was a senior vice president. I had the view, the heavy oak desk, my name etched on the glass. People called me Sir. And my reward? Absolutely nothing. Well, not nothing. Just an echoing, hollow emptiness. It was as if I'd clawed my way up the steepest, most treacherous peak, only to summit and find absolutely nothing but another, taller mountain staring back at me. I remember sitting in that fancy leather chair, staring out the window, muttering to myself, "Is this it? Is this what I traded my family's memories for?" It took me another 15 years to untangle that knot. I'm a stubborn man, clearly. But here is the reality I finally unearthed. I was never actually chasing the cash. I wasn't chasing the brass ring or the prestige. I was chasing a feeling. I desperately wanted to feel like I mattered. I wanted to feel like I was inherently enough just for taking up space on this earth. I convinced myself that if I just piled up enough accolades, that feeling would magically wash over me. But you can't extract self-worth from a corporate plaque. You can't deposit a sense of belonging from a paycheck. That profound feeling of being enough, I held the keys to that the entire time. I didn't need the world's stamp of approval. I didn't have to bleed for it. I just had to decide it was true. I had to decide that I was worthy, right then, exactly as flawed and ordinary as I was. I threw away over 40 years trying to earn a feeling that was already mine to claim. I made the exact same catastrophic error in my marriage. Different stage, same tragic script. I bought into the lie that my value as a husband was purely financial. If I bought the nice house in the nice zip code, if I paid for the nice cars, she'd be thrilled, right? That's what a man does. He provides. So, I provided. I provided until my bones ached. But do you know what my wife was actually starving for? Me. She wanted a husband who was present, someone to listen, and I was a phantom. I was physically there, but my mind was at the office, or I was just too drained to be a partner. We hit a wall and nearly divorced in my late 40s. It wasn't because I was failing financially. It was because I was entirely absent. I don't give a damn about the money. I need my husband. I need you to look me in the eye. I need you to actually hear me. I was baffled. I thought, I pay the mortgage, don't I? I put a roof over our heads. It took me way too long to realize that bankrolling a life is not the same as sharing one. They aren't even in the same universe. Look around at my circle now. Most of the guys and gals I know are in their 60s. We've already lost a few, and watching them has been an education. The ones who are bitter and miserable, they're still running the rat race in their heads. They're still keeping score. I have a buddy my age who is still furious that his brother-in-law bought a nicer boat. 65 years old, and he's still peering over the fence, measuring his worth by another man's toys. He's a miserable soul. I have another friend who spends every conversation listing her complaints. Her back hurts, her pension is too small, her kids don't call. She is waiting for the outside world to fix her inside world, and she will be waiting forever. Then there are the others, the ones who figured it out. They carry this lightness, this quiet grace. They have absolutely nothing left to prove. They aren't keeping a tally. They're just genuinely happy to wake up, drink a cup of coffee, and see what the day brings. I know a fellow living in a tiny condo on a strict fixed income. His health is failing, but he wakes up every single morning grateful. He reads, he asks questions, he marvels at the world. He told me, I spent my whole life trying to be an important man. Now, I'm just trying to be a present man, and it's a hell of a lot easier. That is the secret. Do you want to know what actual freedom is? It is not a fat bank account. I know millionaires who are prisoners in their own minds. It is when the noise stops bothering you. It is looking in the mirror, seeing the wrinkles of a 65-year-old staring back, and genuinely saying, yeah, that's me, and we're doing just fine. Freedom is realizing you don't need a single external thing to be okay internally. Here is the ultimate trap, and I need you to burn this into your brain. You believe that achieving the goal will finally bring peace. It won't. I paid off my mortgage a few years ago. I thought I'd finally sleep like a baby. Know what happened? My brain just found a new anxiety to latch onto. What if the stock market tanks? What if I get sick and drain my savings? The anxiety didn't vanish when my net worth went up. It just changed outfits. That's when the light bulb went off. The fear doesn't disappear because your circumstances improve. The fear only disappears when you evolve. When you put your foot down and declare, I am okay today, exactly as I am, regardless of what tomorrow throws at me. That is an inside job. Everything I was killing myself for, the status, the wealth, the validation, I wanted safety. I wanted to feel loved. I wanted to matter. And I was mining for those treasures in a barren quarry. I could have granted myself those feelings at any second. I just needed to accept that I was already safe, already worthy, already loved. It sounds like a bumper sticker, I know, but it took me 45 years to internalize it. And at 65, I still have to remind myself some days. When you're young, you think happiness is waiting for you at the finish line. But there is no finish line. You slay one dragon, and another one immediately spawns. That's not a flaw in the system. That is the system. That is life. If you are postponing your joy until everything is perfectly aligned, you will die waiting. Because it will never be perfect. Something will always be slightly broken. The journey is the destination. I used to roll my eyes at that cliche. Not anymore. This right here, this messy, imperfect moment, this is your life. Not tomorrow, not next year when the debts are cleared. Now. If you can't find a sliver of peace in the middle of the struggle, you sure aren't going to find it when the struggle is over. So, here is my final plea to you. Stop hitting snooze on your life. Stop with the "I'll be happy when" nonsense. It is a scam. I bought into it for decades, and all it bought me was decades of a postponed existence. You do not need the thing you think you need. You just need to decide that you, right now, with all your flaws and unresolved problems, are enough. You hear me? You are already enough. You don't have to earn it. You just have to claim it. I've made my fair share of blunders. I've chased mirages. I've let time slip through my fingers. But the one absolute truth I've found is that everything you are desperately seeking out there is already sitting right inside you. You just have to stop running long enough to catch your breath and see it. If this struck a chord with you, pass it along to someone who is grinding themselves to dust for a prize that won't ever make them whole. And tell me in the comments, what is your "I'll be happy when" excuse? What are you putting off? What would transform today if you simply decided you were already enough? Subscribe if you want to keep having these kinds of honest talks.